To you, the featured speaker of the night, the first female attorney general, the best minister of education in this country's history, the first female political leader of a major party, the first female and the best prime minister this country has ever seen, the first female leader of the opposition, and soon to be the first female to return to prime minister, the Honorable Kamla Persad-Bissessar.
Never let your problems get you down. Stay focused and hold your ground. Because what will kill you should make you stronger. So my problems is like steroids, boy. I get my doses from all kinds of sources. I don't know them still can't kill me now.
Thank you.
You see, as them sink me under ice.
Thank you. UNC family. I can't hear you, UNC family. Good night to all of you. Good night to our soldiers out here, inside, outside. Let's put our hands together for Senator Anil Roberts, our chairman tonight. He keeps the energy flowing in between, before, during and after every one of us. So again, Anil, thank you so much for that level of energy. To all our MPs and senators who are present, everybody from the local government fraternity, and tonight, let's give it up to all these speakers. I heard some of you on the way up, and that level of energy is tremendous. We have come from a very dark year last year, 2024. And now we enter this new year, 2025. We are into 2025. And I want to tell you that we will now forward together triumphantly into 2025 to win this election. So Happy New Year to all of you. Happy New Year. So top of the news. Okay. Thank you, Melvin. Thank you so much. Today, the PNM replaced a lazy, greedy, selfish old man with a equally lazy, greedy, selfish young man as his leader. And they did their best, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris impression, by undemocratically appointing, anointing, handpicking a successor to the prime ministership. And just like Biden and Kamala Harris, they're going to get the licking of their lives in this general election. So Rowley will leave as prime minister without a single achievement in his name. In 10 years, prime minister, other years in politics, this man has created nothing. He has built nothing. He has developed nothing. He leaves a legacy instead of death and destruction. He leaves debt owing money. He leaves a legacy of failure, a legacy of oppression, laziness, greed, bullying, and incompetence. That is his legacy of this person who has built nothing, created nothing, and developed nothing. I see them going to turnkey and open places. And Dr. Munira, those are things we built. Those are things that we did in our term. They want to take credit. But they're so incompetent that they cannot follow through with the implementation. So that is where Rowley and Stewart have many similarities. Stewart also has the same legacy for his 10 years in government. He's Minister of Everything, who has achieved nothing. Minister of Communications failed at that ministry. Minister of National Security, God, failed. And then he was, as I said, National Security, the crime, the murders continued to escalate. Minister of Energy, he destroyed the oil and gas sector. He was outsmarted every time with the multinationals. Remember, they went up to Houston and say they were the best salesmen. They were snake oil salesmen. Because at the end of the day, they collapsed the energy sector. The manner in which Rowley has now taken this minion and foisted him onto our great country is the most tainted he is, despised member of his cabinet. This is an affront to the democracy of Trinidad and Tobago. It is a move that emulates the patterns after very infamous dictators worldwide. Some of you are young like me and will remember when the late Venezuelan president Hugo Chavez, he picked up Nicolas Maduro as a successor. And it led to the collapse of Venezuela and their democracy. It was long evident, it came as no surprise, that Stuart Young, a vulgar politician, idiot, who was Rowley's Emailgate lawyer just a decade ago, and was given a safe PNM seat in 2015, that is Rowley's preferred replacement. Like a typical dictator, Rowley has shown no regard for the rule of law, no regard for democratic processes, no regard for his own members, far less for us who are not his members. So what he's done, he went ahead with his very devious scheme to install his hand-picked puppet to enable him, Rowley, to continue controlling this country and the PNM through his retirement, he calls it. Rides off into the sunset with $1 million back pay, with a 47% increase in his salaries, which he'll get then as his pension for the rest of his life. He rides off into the sunset. It's like, the ship is sinking, and this man jumped on a lifeboat, but he makes sure and filled his pockets first. So, Stuart Young now has also failed at every post he has held in government. As I said, national security, energy. He is the architect of our country's most failed and disastrous energy policies. Look at Point Lisas. I listened to Mr. Rowley in one of his press briefings, and he said that his greatest legacy is in the energy sector and Point Lisas. Imagine that. How many plants have shut down in Point Lisas? How many have fled and run away? And he counts that as a legacy, this man living in La La Land. He's living in a fantasy world. He has no legacy. The only legacy that he has is one for death and destruction and destroying our economy. So here's Young now. His Gary Sober is his gopher. I don't know what that gopher holds in that bag when he's toting it up. Yeah, well, that's another story. It's a different kind of Gary Sobers. And here now, we have this Minister of Energy being handpicked and anointed. I want you all to remember this now. What goes on in the PM, that is their business. But you must respect the democracy and the rule of law. And we should not stomach someone handpicking out his gopher to name him his successor. This man's family links to drug dealing. You remember that? His daughter, stepdaughter, is before the courts on serious criminal charges, Wayne. Serious charges for 15 million in cocaine and marijuana. This should automatically disqualify Stuart Young from any major role in public life. The PNM selected a man with drug-dealing family members to lead them. And then you'll see another link, a family link again, linked the Rowley governments, these schemes, with family ties again. The fact that Young's brother, his company, remember that? NCB Global Finance was given state funds. You know how much? 4 billion taxpayer dollars. You all remember that? We must remember these things. So when you want to come here and pose you're going to be the Prime Minister, what is the benefit to your family now? Is he a financier? Is his brother a financier? Is any family member a financier of the PNM? And so it's $4 billion, taxpayer dollars, your dollars, not theirs, $4 billion. And that further, in my respect of you, marks this man, Stuart Young, as a very dangerous pick for public life, since taxpayers' dollars will not be safe under his watch. Let's move along. Young, who is also a member of the oppressive eater food elite of our country, has recused himself from the cabinet how many times? Recused himself from the cabinet how many times? Over 101 times. Do you understand why you recuse yourself from a meeting of the cabinet? Some of you do, and if you don't, let me explain, because it's very important. It means that you have a conflict of interest of the decision being taken in the cabinet. There's a so you step out, but here it's a revolving door. So he walks outside, the friends and family and the MPs sit down there, the 12 of them who vote for him today, they sit down inside that cabinet and say, yes, go ahead with that contract. Go ahead with whatever it is. Go ahead. He runs back inside, sits down in the cabinet, the door spins again, and Faris walks out. And then again, they sit together and they say, yes, agreed. This building approved, that contract approved. That is a revolving door. This whole cabinet is sucking this country dry. And we must make sure to vote them out. We have to vote them out. We have to vote them out. Young has demonstrated his disastrous, failed tenure in government, that he has no empathy. You know what that word is, boy? To feel sorry for people. He has no empathy. He has no compassion. He has no consideration. He has no liking for the majority of citizens in this country. None, none. Throughout his whole life in Parliament, he has shown blatant contempt for the citizens of our country at every opportunity. And you know, this was especially underscored when the former PNM Attorney General, who is the current Speaker of the House, Bridget Anisette George, she had to reprimand Young for his unprecedented disrespect and abusive behavior in the Parliament last year. That is a man you want for your Prime Minister. The answer is no, we must vote them out. We must vote them out. We have to vote them all. And this is the man that the Prime Minister now endorses. And the PNM MPs themselves assisted 10 years of destruction and oppression. So let's get this right, let's get it right. Whilst we stand up here and outside and we talk about Rowley, remember Saddam said this, all have to go. Every single one of them. Because they sat in that cabinet for 10 years and allowed the oppression. They allowed the destruction of our nation, of our little children, of our women. And Stuart Young, I am a woman. And I'm asking all women here, if you love yourselves, do not support Stuart Young because he hates women. That is why he made that statement in the Parliament when his own speaker had to reprimand him. I was most surprised, but let's give her a big up. Bridget. That she had the guts and the belly to stand up and reprimand him openly in the Parliament. I don't know what they will do with her after that, but time will tell. So here's a person now being endorsed. This is the same Prime Minister who cancelled the PNM's internal elections. You remember last year when people wanted to choke me and kill me to call internal party elections? You all remember that? You all remember that? I am the only party now who has held internal elections democratically. Only party. But nobody saying nothing. The man just cancelled the thing. To do what? To handpick and anoint. To handpick and anoint. When he could do that in blatant open air in front of the whole country, what next can he do or has done? So he shut down the PNN convention. He now wants to undermine our democracy by passing the will of the people. I say the people of TNT deserve better. They deserve a leader accountable to them, not to financiers or political cronies. The people must choose the next Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago in a free and fair election. The next Prime Minister must not be chosen behind closed doors in the shadows of a private retreat. Must not be chosen. Prime Minister, MPs, ministers must be chosen by you, the people of Trinidad and Tobago, in a free and fair election. And that is why whoever come, whichever one, whether it be Penny, whether it be Foster, whether it be Young, today is Young, tomorrow might be the next one, you never know. And the next one might be Rowley himself. He could try Eric on us, you know. You never know where this man he is. He's a very kind of manipulative person. So I stand here as I say that you, the people of our great nation, must not tolerate this assault on our democracy. So he might sit in the seat for a few days, but that bell will ring. That bell will ring. And you must not allow Stuart Young to sit in that seat as an anointed Prime Minister. It must not happen. What we must do, what we have to do, we have to vote them out. We will rise above this moment of authoritarianism and we must ensure that TNT's future remains in the hands of you, the people. A government of the people. A government by the people. And a government for the people. That is what the UNC will give you. That is what we offer to you. And tonight I say without any shame, we will do so together with partners. I see Philip Alexander is here. We will work with them. Because they too stand for a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. And how do we get that? We must make sure when that bell rings, what do? Vote them out. Vote them out. The UNC is ready. We are prepared to lead. We are prepared to govern with integrity, to deliver the change our country desperately needs. But first, we demand what the people deserve. And what do we deserve? They must call the elections now. They must call the elections now. He must give to you, the people, your constitutionally enshrined right to choose a Prime Minister rather than to accept a dictator's personal, outrageous, dangerous, incompetent pick of his successor. And I say today again, we demand Rowley, according to JJ, go now. If you're going, just go. Just go. Just go and call the election now. What are you hanging about for? What are you staying to do? To go to a CARICOM meeting since when that was important to you? Why are you staying? Why do you want to keep the country in a state of limbo? Why do you want to keep our nation in stasis in a no-place land? You're neither in heaven nor in hell. We are swinging like Tarzan on a branch somewhere. Call the election now. Call the election now. And before you even call that election, I call upon you again to write to the regional and international observers, to send observers to observe this next general election. When I raised this matter, he came to the Parliament, Rowley, and he said, I have the letter draft already, you know. I'm going to send to CARICOM, you remember? I have it ready to sign. Did you sign it yet? Have you sent it to CARICOM? If yes, show it to us. And if you're going to CARICOM, carry a letter in your pocket and give it to the CARICOM people. For the observers, we must demand every single day. As we demand call elections, we have to demand also bring in the observers for this election. Because they could thief this whole election, you know. They could thief it, and you all better be vigilant. Do not become complacent and say, oh, we're going to win. Look at people here tonight. No, no, no. We have to do the work on the ground. We have to have boots on the ground, and we have to work every single seat. Don't get carried away. Don't get chained up. We have not won until the last vote is counted. So I call upon UNC people today or tonight, hit the ground, boots on the ground. Whatever little differences you have, you didn't get the seat and you're vexed. No, no, no. When we win, everybody wins. When the UNC win, everybody wins. And tonight, can I big up Anil Roberts again? When we gave the seat to Devish, Anil said, I am a team player, fully on board, and I really praise him. I give him praise for that. There are some people, when they don't get X or Y, yeah, they want to mash up the thing. That's like Rowley. He can't get everything, just mash it up. Let us not be like that. I say it again, when the UNC wins, everybody wins in this country. They say many a call, but it's not that one. For seats, many a call and only one is chosen. But when all those chosen ones win this battle, then there will be room and space at the table for every single one. So not just one position, not just a seat. There are thousands of positions to be had, but first what we have to do? We have to win. So I share that with you, and I'm not going to spend too much time on Stuart Young and Roll. Waste our time. Just tell them goodbye, okay? Say bye-bye, bye, bye, help me, bye, goodbye, just go, and go now. I want to turn to some other important matters, and in the weeks to come, we have many, many bright people, brilliant people, and we'll be rolling out. We resume screening very shortly, and well, Rolly has said, I'm told, he going CARICOM, and when he come back, he wants to enjoy Carnival. I said, no, he said that. The same Akash somebody talk about, I think Akash asked him. And Saddam said it. Come to enjoy Carnival, and after Carnival, you'll see what next, okay? So I said, don't be surprised, I'm on backtrack, you know. Backtrack, it's very possible. So we don't know the timeline, what he has in mind. As I say, on Monday, Saddam mentioned it, we will be dealing with the proclamation for the emergency in the Parliament, and the presidential statement, and the motion to adopt the state of emergency for another 30 days. Did you read it? I think it's 30 days. 3 months. So we'll deal with that on Monday, so I will not spend too much time on SOE. Saddam has done quite well in the short time that he had, so I thank him very much. Now, I raised with you people right here in a meeting passed back, one of our Monday nights here. And I talked to you all about what was happening with something called the pension bill. You remember that? So I'm saying this year is about your rights. It is not right, I'm saying, that a government has been in place 10 years and people have benefited nothing. Nothing. Nada, zilch, nothing, zero, nothing. Instead, they've taken from you. You have not benefited. It is not right for a government to be in place and about 624 people murdered last year alone. That is their legacy too. We have about 5,000 people murdered under Rowley's government and this PNM government. It is not right for PNM MPs to give themselves and Rowley a salary, pension, increase, and back pay, and you give everybody else 4%. It could never be right for this wicked government to take away pensions from the elderly if they manage to just happen to save $25,000. That's what they said. You will not get your old age pension if you happen to have more than if you have $25,000. But this set of PNM MPs, so not Rory alone, I'm making the point again, they sat at that table and approved that bill. So many of them sitting around that table, that bill went to that cabinet on more than one occasion. So they don't read. When I raise it, oh, no, it's a mistake. Guess what? If some public servant write it in, you ever hear that? You ever hear lie? That is lie. That could never happen unless they felt that we would not pick it up. And I remind you again how it happened. We were in the last sitting last year. It was not even on the order paper. They put it in and slip it in at the last minute, just before we went off on the recess for Christmas. What do you think? We don't read, we read everything. Serge telling you that too, we read. And from the time I left that Parliament chamber, we walked into my conference. I told Nicholas Morris, I said, pull that. I want to see what that bill is. He didn't give us. It's up on the system, the rotunda, on the soft copy. Pull it up and let me see what this thing is about. Something is not right here. No, I am such a kind person. My first instinct was that this bill was that they were going to raise pensions because it's election year coming. So I said, wait, boy. So sit down there worrying what's going to happen, but glad if they raise it. Only to find out what they're doing, they're taking away people's pension. As I said, we fought into this new year. We must go there triumphantly. Will you help us, pensioners? You have to come out to preserve and protect your pension. You have to come out and preserve it. Together, we must march together to remove this wicked government. I say again, it could never be right for them to want to do that. And then they tell us, they say the bill withdrawn. You hear a lie? Another lie. They said the bill is withdrawn. Well, today I got a piece of paper. It's called the House of Representatives Order Paper. This is for the sitting on Monday, the 13th of January. That's Monday, that's the next sitting. Guess what's on this order paper? Pensions bill. Look, it's right here. It's there. So they want you to feel they withdrew it, but they did not. Look, it's here. Bill's second reading. An bill entitled, an act to amend the Senior Citizens Pension Act, Chapter 3202, and the Public Assistance Act, Chapter 3203, on the order paper for the next sitting of the House. So they want the whole country to believe that they withdrew the bill. But you see, some of us don't read. Some of us kind of a little brighter than some of them. Because there is a process to withdraw a bill. You don't just stand up in a press conference and say, bill withdrawn. Where you living? Where you think this is? You have to go through the process. And there is a standing order, it's known as Standing Order 77. And that is so clear. So clear. Well, Amma was in Parliament too long, so I could probably forgive him. And then he has lied too, so I'm Mr. Limo himself. Limo himself. This is what Standing Order 77 says. The member in charge of a bill may, by leave of the House, withdraw the bill at any stage. With what? Leave of the House. So you can't stand up in a platform and stand up in and say, bill withdraw. No. Go and read your standing order. You didn't read the bill in the first place. Well, at least find out how to withdraw the bill, how to do it properly. And that is why it's still on the order paper. I call upon them, Monday in Parliament, stand up and officially withdraw the bill in the Parliament. When you come on Monday, withdraw it. So if you have to follow the standing orders, which is the procedures for us in the House, in the Parliament, you must come on the floor of the Parliament, on the floor of the House, and then seek the leave of the House. And they have the majority, of course, the simple majority. Well, I'm not even sure, because after this 12-9 and 11-9, I don't know how they vote today. I'm being told it was 12-9. Some say it's 11-9. Well, if it's 9/11, you know what happened on 9/11? The World Trade Center collapsed, and the mighty PLM shall also collapse. So they have the majority in the Parliament, and of course we will support it. So they must come and seek leave of the House to withdraw the bill. I again say, Monday come, we will give you the votes as well. If your people didn't come out 11 and 9 and so on, we will support it and make sure this bill is officially withdrawn. So, they have no shame. And again, I say every single pensioner. And if you are not a pensioner, you have a relative. You have a family, as they say, who is a pensioner. Let us all join together. Because should they steal this election and go back into office, I've warned you already, they will bring it back, They will bring this back just as they'll raise your water rate and raise this rate and raise that rate. And I want to tell you something I'm reading just yesterday or the day before, where they are publishing certain promises they made in the last budget of things that they will do. What is it called? Finance bill things, or promises that they made. So the fiscal measures. So they published it yesterday, 2 days ago, about exemptions on sporting equipment. Well, I have a nice point to ask though. Sporting equipment. That's the one I saw a few days ago. What will be exempt from the taxes, the duties? And guess what? Golfing. Well, if that not so bad, you know which one really shocked me? No, why are you only talking about electric vehicles? I'm talking about taxes on sporting goods. I'll come to electric maybe tomorrow. So we have golfing. Yachting went the last rounds. Yachting too. We had did it before. Yes. Exemptions on yachting issues. The next one is something called fencing. Anybody here do fencing? Do you even know what is fencing? No, not corrally fence. Not corrally. Fencing. So I'm talking this with somebody, they said the last time they hear about fencing is down in Barkpo, where fellas with cutlass. Fencing. But they would not give you lesson taxes or exemptions on what? On food, on the cost of food. They will not take away or lessen the property tax. They will not deal with the online tax. What is it? Tire tax, all these taxes. That's their only way of governing. They have no revenue streams, so what they do? Tax, borrow, and spend, and wait. When they go to office, we have to pay back. We talk about taxes taken off of fencing. How many people fence in this country, boy? And golfing, well, we know one for sure, golfing. But the taxes you should be looking at is VAT on food. VAT on food, the VAT on food, that's what we should be talking about. People can't buy meals. They can't feed their families. And that is where they are at. So as I continue, as our time draws to an end, I want to share one other matter with you, or maybe two. Right. The 2024 regulations that I'm referred to, the Emergency Powers Regulations, the SOE regulations, in the main are a copy and paste from the 2011 SOE regs that we did. In the main, largely. And yet, it took this cabinet a whole day. They're just copying and pasting to see how incompetent they are. They announced this thing first, some press release came out early in the morning, Monday. It came out on a piece of paper that was not even an official paper with any official markings on it. Then so they put that out first. And then they had a press conference, right? And at that press conference, they told us, we will have this done within the hour. Soon, we'll publish it. By night time, I'm looking for these, because this is what gives the SOA its strength, its power. Not put out until sometime 7:30 or 8 in the night. What took them so long? 9 o'clock. 9 o'clock. 9 o'clock. And then that is only limited circulation, because it would not have gone, in the Gazette and so on, for public knowledge. And it took them a whole day to just copy and paste this thing. And when they did that, they even got it wrong. So they put out regulations. They already amended the regulations. They already made an amendment, meaning change it to add or take away as the case may be. And before they're done, they'll be amended far more provisions in there. But that's not the only thing about this. So you announced it in the morning. You have no regulations in place. So therefore, any actions taken under that SOE would be what? Illegal, null and void, because you have no empowering regulations for you to take action. But that's not the worst part of it. When you announce this thing so early in the morning and you don't have the regs in place till the night, it have something called tipping off. So all the fellas with the gun and the ammunition, the drugs, guess what? You give them a whole day tip off to move and carry. I remember once Farris, they told me I was tipping off Marlene McDonald. Some case they wanted to bring on the poor girl. tipping off. That is where you told them before. You had no regulations to implement. So what do you think them big boys going to do? They move out everything? They had a whole day to remove them. So I don't think the section in the Constitution, which is, I think 7, for the emergency powers, Section 7 of our Constitution, that was not intended to empower the President to amend the Constitution or displace entrenched provisions. That should be read as giving just enough power to have what they talk about in law, a legitimate aim. So what they've done in these regs as well, Saddam, they have taken away the habeas corpus jurisdiction of the High Court by regulations. Lawyers says, look at that, I've been definite, you cannot do that. Because if there's an entrenched provision in the Constitution, a regulation cannot remove it. You have to go to the Parliament and pass a law with the requisite majority. So this can only be done under Section 7. They have no such words. The tribunal they've set up is only advisory. It was never intended to replace the jurisdiction of a judge of the court. Talking a little too much law, but understand me, they've taken away this provision that would have allowed you to go to a court to enforce your rights and to get justice by regulations. They cannot do it. Now, I have a concern with Regulation 11. This has to do with the guns. Where they're saying if you come and you surrender your gun, okay, under Regulation 12, let me read it for you. No person who surrenders any firearm, and I'm going somewhere with this, it's not just law here. This is going at people right now, some wicked people. No person who surrenders any firearm, ammunition, or explosive during any period prescribed, and otherwise in accordance with an order to surrender, no person shall be prosecuted under the Firearms Act or regulation for illegally purchasing, acquiring, or possessing such firearm, ammunition, or explosive. This is saying, hey, bring it in, okay? Now, there are two kinds of sections under the Firearms Act. One which says there are certain weapons that you cannot have in your possession, you cannot acquire, and so on, but unless you have something called an FUL, the license. But there's another category of weapons, they're known as prohibited weapons. So no FUL, no commissioner could sign a permit for nobody as a civilian to have. That is only for people in the protective services, okay? Bear along here with me. Now, we had that provision in our SOE way back in 2011, but we never implemented it. Because that, if you want to implement that again, you have to come to Parliament and pass a law by special majority vote. Because if you have a crime, possessing this prohibited weapon, you can't take away a crime. You cannot exonerate a criminal who had possession of a prohibited weapon by a simple regulation. So 11 is in effect a kind of gun amnesty. And what it does is to unlawfully close down, fetter the discretion of the DPP under Section 90 of the Constitution. That section is one of those provisions to which Section 54(3) of the Constitution applies, which means it is deeply entrenched. You cannot change it by regulation. You cannot change it by simple, act of Parliament. Must be a special majority, 2/3 of the houses, the Senate and the House. Cannot do it under regulation. So tonight I ask this. Why did you include Regulation 11 to give what I'm calling a gun amnesty, which is to say, if you bring in the gun, the prohibited gun, it's all right, fellas, bye, nice, well done, good boy. Why did you put it there? Is there any senior government official under investigation for possessing a prohibited weapon? It might be a young person, or old person, I don't know. I really don't know. I'm asking, is there any investigation, government official, under investigation for possessing a prohibited weapon under the Firearms Act? And is this Regulation 11 is to ease them up and say, good boy, well done, bring it home, drop it on the desk. Who from the TTPS approved a permit to purchase this rifle? Whom? Who is the dealer who imported this automatic firearm and sold it to a senior official? So is this proposed Regulation 11 aimed at helping senior officials, senior TTPS officials, gun dealers, to evade prosecution for possession of this prohibited automatic firearm? My lawyers and I are looking at writing to the DPP formally about this provision because I suspect it is intended to protect some very high up office holders. So we will not let that go. We shall pursue it. And then I move now for the person who applied for a permit. High government official again, not the young one. Maybe a not so young one. High government official applies for a permit for a gun. Now, when a prime minister get up every morning to go golfing, fly all over the world, this is a man, prime minister, during his term of office, has stayed out of Trinidad for over 407 days. You remember that? Out of the country. More than a year has been out. So gallivanting. He could spend time liming in Tobago. Clearly, he's a man who doesn't care about his duties. He has been happy like Papi. He's been looking after his finances, family, and friends, while gangs with illegal firearms are murdering court prosecutors. Every day, the Prime Minister and the National Security Minister keeps telling you that guns and ammunition are the problem. They keep harping that there are too many guns. He went so far that he said he banned the purchase of guns from the US, so this man, like, he really hates guns, okay? Banned it. He wanted to join our country with other countries to sue the gun manufacturers in the US. You all remember that? To sue them. So you would swear this man wants nothing to do with gun. Under this PNM, businessmen cannot get a legal gun to protect their businesses, to protect their families. Prison officers, police officers cannot get a legal gun to protect themselves off duty. Judicial officers and staff cannot get a gun to protect themselves. I was told only yesterday morning that in addition to the prosecutors not wanting to go to work because of the fear, that I'm now being told that certain judicial officers are under threat from criminal elements. We have to give them legal guns to protect themselves. Judicial officers cannot get guns to protect themselves. Prosecutors, as I said, as like people, DPP's office and so on. Farmers can't get a firearm to protect themselves and their crops. The commissioner of police put firearms license on hold for almost 1 year and a half. Legal, huh? We're all legal. Rowley and the commissioner, they've been auditing everyone since 2021. To get an FUL, you had to go and sue the commissioner of police. You have to sue the commissioner, and others are doing it. They're doing it. Let me remind you, last year, the Express exposed the government's blatant corruption when it was revealed that Rowley and Stuart Young, when Young was security minister, had sent messages to former police commissioner Gary Griffith about granting a FUL license and a blasting license. Yeah, for the friend, the good friend, the Tobago man, Alan Warner. I think Dr. Monilal showed us all the messages. And there it is corruption and abuse and misuse of office. The message was sent in the morning to get the thing for Alan Warner, and by evening, sent off to the Prime Minister's special branch to deliver it. Same day. Same day. Someone else tonight talk about justice and fairness. I think it's Davis. About justice and fairness, where things are happening for your friends and your family. And so the average law-abiding citizens are denied the right to access legal firearms. I repeat tonight that the UNC commits that we will bring stand-your-ground laws and we'll bring laws for the right to bear arms so you can protect your wife, your children, your family. They attacked me when I said If you see a bandit, a criminal, your wife or your child raping your wife or child, what you'll do? Reasonable force, I say, empty the clip. Empty the clip. Let us give them legal firearms. What you will do is say, hold up that fella, man. I have to check what is reasonable force. By that time, your wife, your daughter, your son is gone. So I recommit tonight, and I don't care who vexed, lost. I don't care. We must give our people the right to protect their families. So in July 2024, Rowley came to Parliament. He cited cases from a report by retired Assistant Commissioner of Police Arthur Barrington and retired Chief of Defence Staff Rear Admiral Hayden Pritchard. He cited this report in July 24. The report allegedly found some police officers were involved in the lucrative business side of the acquisition and training of civilians. The Prime Minister claimed this introduced risks, and I quote his words from a news report. He said, the manipulation of the process for personal gain, as well as serious matters of conflict of interest arises. The manipulation of the process for personal gain. So when he hung down Gary Griffith for the gun for his, and the blasting things for his friend, wasn't that for personal gain? I have another example tonight, which speaks about this Prime Minister's callous and selfish actions. It is shocking in a country besieged by crime, the Prime Minister's priority remains what? Himself. There was an article August 24, 2022. Griffith says the minister harassed him for a firearm approval to kill pigs. Do you all remember that? August 2022. I'm quoting from the article. Former Police Commissioner Gary Griffith has called on Prime Minister Dr. Rowley to tell the country who is the government minister who sought to get Griffith to fast-track approvals for firearms for the minister to be able to kill pigs. Quoting from the article. You should tell the country who is a very senior government minister that harassed me constantly to provide explosives for a friend in Tobago, etc., etc. Who was the person who harassed me to get special firearms for himself to kill pigs, and his list of friends together, long and distinguished, harassed me to get firearms fast-track for them. That was the article. This article was published August 2022. Let's fast forward now to August 2023, when the Prime Minister applied for a permit from Police Commissioner Erla Christopher to import a gun called Blitzkirner Captive Bolt Stunner 9mm for killing pigs and goats, while he and Erla were refusing to give law-abiding citizens the license. In August 2023, Erla Christopher granted the Prime Minister the approval to purchase the firearm. Look on the screen, you'll see a picture, you seeing it? That's the firearm, the Blitz gun. Look at it. It doesn't look like a conventional gun, but it is a gun. It uses 9mm cartridges without a projectile. Farmer Rowley requested a permit to import a device to kill animals. A captive bolt device is used for slaughtering animals, ranging from small pigs to bulls. And we do know Farmer Rowley has a goat farm, if I'm not mistaken, in Tobago. A retracting bolt is fired into the head. This is a height of hypocrisy. Sometimes you call him a Maha hypocrite. This is a height of hypocrisy. In one breath, the Prime Minister condemns manipulation for personal gain, prevents law-abiding people from getting license and firearms, but he has no problem manipulating the process for himself and his friends. His priority is clear: abusing and interfering with independent offices for personal gain. But it doesn't end there. He applied for the gun. He also applied for 500 rungs of cartridges. 500 rungs. I don't know how much goat and sheep he has there. 500 rungs of ammunition. When normally I'm told, you're saying 40, I'm told let's say 40 to 50 rungs. I want you to look at the screen. I'm not making this up. There is a permit. There is a permit Keith Christopher, Mr. Keith Rowley, Goodwood Park, etc., etc. Use on estate, one Blitz Kerner, captive, bolt stunner. And when you go down, you see 500 wrong cartridges. That's the permit. Who is it signed by? Earl Christopher. And then when you go down further, you see it was sent to the, help me please, it's a special branch, someone in special branch. Anyway, it was sent to, not normally you go to the police station, a normal human being, and you go put in the application, then the police station, they check it and they sign it and say, okay, this went straight to some superintendent of police. But what I also find interesting, I don't know what happened with this, we seem to have cut off the bottom, where it is, the cabinet secretary, her name is down there, acting cabinet secretary. We will see it on that permit. I don't know what cabinet has to do with that. Secretary to the cabinet. So there it is, maha hypocrite according to Saddam. Don't want nobody else to get, but you get 500 wrongs. Your friend Alan Warner get it, and who else knows? God alone knows whom else. But whatever happens in darkness always comes to light. And so bit by bit, when we get it, we'll expose them. Look at that permit. The Commissioner of Police, they sent it to the Senior Superintendent, Special Branch, and the Acting Secretary of the Cabinet, spending their time working on a permit for a gun to kill pig and goat. Well, every day is a never-ending horror story. People have been gunned down, homes invaded, throats slit, robberies and so on. Look, I have no issue if the Prime Minister wanted and got a special gun to kill animals. But it's not just a selfish act. It is very hypocritical. Rowley stands guilty of interfering with the entire police commissioner selection process. Stemming from that scandal, accusations of corruption with the FULs led to the formation of another committee filled with hand-picked individuals. So while people in TNT are being slaughtered, they can't get a legal firearm. The Prime Minister's priority is to look after his goats and his sheep. Last month, remember, criminals used a kitchen knife to kill a 68-year-old woman, Amina Mohammed. They invaded her peaceful home, robbing, murdering her. Hours before this atrocity, criminals invaded the home of Marval pensioner Bertram Greenaway and slit his throat. The murder of Special Prosecutor Randall Hector. Hours into the state of emergency sends a message that criminals are in charge. You remember Shamfa could just stand up in the parlor and pointing up in our face, and what she say? Boasting, we are in charge. Madam, today the criminals are in charge in Trinidad and Tobago. You're not. The criminal element for too long. A UNC government will tackle this decay and stand firm against the criminals. I pledge to you tonight as a mother. I see your children as my own children. I want them to live in a safe nation filled with opportunities to grow and prosper. And this is why I say to you tonight, we must make sure when that bill is wrong, that we vote them out, every single one of them, every single one. So the enchambers have lost their way, but they will come back and lie and try to mama guy and fool you again. Lie, cry, and mama guy. Don't get chained up this time. Don't get chained up again at all, at all, at all. And tonight I say, let's get rid of Imbert. Let's get rid of Camille. Let's get rid of every single one. Stuart Young, everyone, call them all. Every single one must go. And I want to tell you this. We have seen, and we must not forget, that the whole cabinet was responsible for the highest murder rates in our history. The whole cabinet was responsible for the highest food prices in our history. They were all responsible for the $3 billion that's still missing. And this is Prime Minister, as you told us, he said, the rich will get richer. Not one PNM MP stood up and said no to the 4%. But they stood up and said yes to the 47% increase on the back pay and the higher pension. Yes, they said they all agreed to that in their cabinet. Not one of these people rejected our SRC report for those increases. Not one of them said no to the property tax. Remember that? So they're all complicit. Damien tried to tell me complicit whole life. They're all in this together. They were all in that together. They're all responsible for our mess. So don't just blame Rowley alone for their negligence. No matter how many plasters the PNM put on those sores, the scars are still there. The pain is still there. And the only way to get rid of that pain and suffering is to do what? Vote them out. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who they send to lead the PNM on election day. All, I say it again, must go. Get that into your brain. All. Vote them out. What do we do? Vote them out. They're trying all the tricks in the book. Public is looking on. And all we can see watching this soap opera is how the mighty have fallen. What is in the darkness always comes to light. It is clear that the PNM lied and lied and lied to us. They said every nasty and destructive thing they could find to say about the UNC. Now it's all coming to light. All the lies. Nothing new to lie and accuse about. So they have no campaign. They have no campaign. Because guess what? God don't sleep. God does not sleep. God doesn't sleep. So my friends and all, I said, we have come out of a very dark period, a decade of darkness, of horror, death and destruction. We come out of a decade. We are going into a new year in 2025. And I know that once we work together and stay together, that we'll forward into this 2025 triumphantly into victory. The sun will rise again. The sun will rise again. God bless you, and I thank you very much. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Never let your problems get you down. Stay focused.
Do you know that in 2016, 66 liters of diesel cost $100? Today, under the PNM, you get 20 liters of diesel for $100. The diesel you paid $100 for under the UNC now costs $327 under the PNM, which directly affects the cost of food, transport, and services. Guess who I'm voting for next time?